Good evening. I want to ask, who is praying for Mundubile? And who is praying for Hakainde Chilema? And who is praying for Zambia? From the time when I warned about the death of the presidents, starting with Lev Patrick Manawasa, they actually killed 5 animals at Teka Farm in an attempt to resurrect Manawasa. It could not work. Bishop Joshua Banda, in a state-organized overnight prayer meeting for the recovery of Manawasa, he said he saw Manawasa coming back in good health, alive. I laughed because God spoke to me. Who never prayed for Chiluba when I warned Chiluba? I was arrested to warn Chiluba of the consequences that led to his death. The Red Sea predicament, following politics when his time was declared it was over. Sata, on my face, he says, "You men of God, you steal people's offering and what and what." I said, "No, me, I'm not among them." When I met him in Kabwe, I met Sata at his office, near post office there, Kulima, is it Kulima House? Trying to give him spiritual protection, iPod of protection. And the people surrounding him, even other cadres that I knew who were in City Market when I was running a stand in City Market there, they became the bodyguard of Michael Sata. Those who were my customers, buying food colors, selling there in City Market, they were appointed positions of ambassador whatsoever. But because I never spoke what they wanted to listen, and I never see recognition, because my agenda is not for praising corruption, praising false worship, praising false democracy. The Bible gives many examples of kings who surrounded themselves with prophets, priests, diviners, religious advisors who supported their desires rather than speaking God's truth. Sometimes these prophets were politically loyal, spiritually corrupt, or influenced by idolatry and power. I've received some messages to say, why do you want Mundubile to come and pray, to seek prayers for you, whereas Pastor Sinyangwe is praying for him? And other powerful men of God are praying for them. I want to tell you to say, there is no church, there is no pastor in this world who is not colonized the system that whosoever pastor you mention is using, the difference is the same. As long as a pastor worship God on a Sunday, as long as a pastor worship God on a Saturday, as long as a pastor worship God on a Thursday, without following the 10 Commandments that identify the seventh day, Sabbath, on a weekly cycle that is based on nature, sun, moon, and stars must give us the signs for days. And the true Sabbath is the identity for a true worshipper. I'll say that Saturday is not a true Sabbath. It's a fake one, which was imposed by the same system. Rome. If I could sugarcoat the word of God, of course, I want to agree with someone else who told me to say, you are going to have a lot of followers. Now, because you are fighting Catholic, then you have no followers. Catholic is a good church. It's not a good church. If it is a good church, I challenge it to call for the leadership that will own natural resources. There's a certain song that Paul Matavire, Zimbabwean musician, sang. He sang a song saying, you find a witch fearing a lizard, running away from a lizard. Hey, I fear lizard. But in the West, there is a live snake that is tied on his waist. Live snake. The one that protects him, the one that he uses to kill people with. But when you look at him, you find him very innocent. And when a lizard passes here, you run away. So that when people tell you that he has a snake, you cannot believe because he fears a lizard. That's how I can describe the Vatican, the Catholic, the SDA, and all these Methodists. Whatsoever the churches you can tell me. They are in the same system to divide Africa, to divide the world. Churches must have one doctrine, one Bible, one doctrine, one 10 Commandment, period. I'm praying that this must be a truth that you must accept. What I'm doing, it is positive criticism. And once your mind does not accept positive criticism, it's the same like if a woman, she's walking, accidentally maybe she ties the dress together with the belt of a skirt, and the back is left open. Then you say, Mama, please, can you lower your skirt? It's not fine. They say, oh, why are you telling me? I'm fine like that. That means such a person, he does things intentional to expose the privacy. So if a church is told to say you are doing wrong, and that church takes it as the one who is saying, is criticizing them, and is an enemy, it means whatever the church is doing is intentional. Churches must accept a positive criticism, because positive criticism brings unity, perfection, and truth. I want to list major examples of kings who actually never wanted prophets that tell them the truth. Someone was saying, time is going to come, they are going to call you. Why are they rejecting the truth? This is a sign that we are in a time that the people we are voting into office, they don't want to associate themselves with the truth, because they are also in Satanism. They are in witchcraft. They trust sorcerers, false prophets. Ahab, one of the clearest examples, false prophets around him, about 400 false prophets encouraged him to go to war at Ramoth Gilead. Only Micaiah, one, spoke the true message from God. You can get this from 1 Kings chapter 22. The key issue, the prophets told Ahab that he wanted to hear. They told him what he wanted to hear. Go and prosper. But Micaiah revealed that a lying spirit had influenced them. So all prophets that claim to pray for Zambian leaders who are dying, when they are rejecting my prayer request, they are lying spirits that appear to be godly. Influence behind it, political survival, fear of the king, desire for favor, influence of Jezebel and Baal worship. Jezebel, prostitute, worshipping Baal. When you find that the church promotes immorality, the dressing pattern is not a standard that is scripture described, you should know that even if the pastor would say, I'm praying for someone else, praying for who? I said, the journey for Mundubile is faced with terror from Hakainde Chileme, unless he seeks prayer. I mean it. The nomination success is not victory. And even if Mundubile can have victory without a life-changing prayer, without embracing God's agenda, it's not a matter of talking to say, no, we are going to use natural resources to empower you in the community. It's not just that. It's not protection enough. It's recognizing the power of God that is not seen by eyes of men, but God sees it in your heart. We have Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, advisors around him, magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, diviners. This was the source of his encouragement, the source of protection. But Daniel was one of a different person, a slave at that matter, not in the corridors of power, but he is the one who became the interpreter of visions and dreams to the leadership of Nebuchadnezzar. Kings, they look at a person who should advise them. They think poverty defines the power of God. And when one is successful, it means he's a true worshipper. The book of Daniel, chapter 1 to chapter 4, gives the scenario where Daniel stood and said, it is only God that set up kings and removes kings. So you can set yourself as a king. As I told Sata to say, I wish you well, go. Keep the commandment of God. And what he took. No, my government is going to keep the commandment of God. And what did Catholics say to Sata? They said, the wise, they wait for others so that they can run together. But those that run alone, they do not succeed. They told Sata, after he declared the Ten Commandment promise, if he had a prayer and anointment, that Ten Commandment was going to protect him. Carrying the Ten Commandments without an anointment from God is not a protection. And you do not declare to rule under the Ten Commandments. You live by the commandment yourself. You become the Ten Commandments yourself. They become a protection of every agenda you want to put for the benefit of the country. In Daniel chapter 2, we find Daniel interpreting the vision. And whatever Daniel said, it has stood the test of time until today. That's a sign of a true prophet. Manasseh was one of those kings, one of Judah's most idolatrous kings, worshippers of idols, religious figures around him, mediums, spiritualists, idol priests, occult practitioners, they were surrounding him. You can find this from 2 Kings chapter 21, 2 Chronicles chapter 33. Manasseh promoted practices that God had forbidden. Sorcery, divination, child sacrifice, consulting the spirits. You find that even leaders today who call themselves their political leaders, they find themselves in the shrines of Seer 1, taking powers from the dawn of power. They find themselves in the shrines of prophets like Bushiri. They find themselves, when I was talking to Chiluba, he went to TB Joshua. Did TB Joshua save him? Today, TB Joshua is actually said he's not dead, he's faking his death because he's running away from the law. He was abusing girls in his church, giving them rooms to say they have been anointed. They are supposed to work for the church. But he used to have sex with them, beating them when they refuse. And when they started speaking about that, when they started investigating him, he realized that the church is going to finish and is going to die in jail. He disappeared, faking death. And till today, there are people who believe that TB Joshua is a true prophet. How can a true prophet fail to see his building collapsing and killing a lot of people if he's able to see a balloon? So people are brainwashed. Spiritual leadership around him reinforced corruption instead of confronting it. That is Manasseh. Spiritual leadership reinforcing corruption. And that's what we see. All these pastors that say they are praying for president. Is it the Sinyangwe that who prayed for Chiluba when Chiluba was faced with the crime of plunder of national resources? Then he goes there and pray. If I can recall, there's a pastor who was worshiping at City Market there. And after praying for Chiluba, he became wealth overnight. And that's how powerful that pastor is. Spiritual leadership that reinforce corruption and instead of confronting it. I told Chiluba Akan of today. But pastors go there and say, he's a pastor. He declared Zambia a Christian nation. I said, Christian nation is a false declaration. Zedekiah was one of the kings. The last king before Babylon destroyed Jerusalem. False prophets surrounded him. Prophets promised peace, safety. Babylon would not be conquered. Would not conquer Jerusalem. Babylon won't conquer Jerusalem. You find this message in Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 27 to 29. Hananiah opposed Jeremiah publicly. I wrote about this in this book. When sin abounds, we find that false prophets, they confront true prophets. Hananiah actually broke the yoke for Jeremiah, claiming that Jeremiah was lying. But I want to say that it is the last theater, the last fight that I'll see. Okay? So I wrote it. In which title was it? I wrote it in the principles that determine true prophecy on page 25. And I think starting from chapter 1, Prophet's final arena set. Yes, Prophet final arena set. That's where I started defining these prophets that confront true prophets. To say, why are you speaking like this? You must be kind. You must not speak evil. Because warning leadership, it is classified as evil, as hating them. Whilst God does not praise, but warns. Jeroboam, 1, he had religious systems around him, non-Levitical priests, golden calf worship centers. You can get this from 1 Kings chapter 12 to chapter 13. The key issue with Jeroboam's leadership, Jeroboam created an alternative religious structure to maintain political control so people would not return to Jerusalem. This became a recurring sin in Israel, the sins of Jeroboam. So this is what Catholic strives upon. Religious systems, alternative structure to maintain political control, to maintain a system that comes down the heart, even when our colonial master are feasting on our natural resources. Our religious says, peace, peace, peace. When you say you are poor, the poor will inherit the kingdom of heaven. Religious system that would bring your mind to humbleness, even when everything is collapsing around yourself. So, spiritual compromise. Near the end of his reign, Saul consulted medium at Edo after a longer hearing from God. That's what Dr. Kaunda did. When Dr. Kaunda called me 1999, I gave him God's message. When he stepped down from politics, things started moving in the right direction. But he started consulting other prophets that told him that I was fighting him myself. I'm the one cursing him not to succeed to raise his fundraising for Children of Africa Foundation. And it was revealed to me in a vision. Then I said, former president, I had a dream. And it was reported on news that Dr. Kenneth Kaunda accidentally shot the evangelist whilst he was in the field. He saw as if it was a pig. So then after you shot, that's when you realize that it was me. They said, you know what? There's a prophet in America. She's a woman who said that I see someone in Zambia who is so strong, who has cursed you so that you are not successful in this fundraising. That person is not happy and is the one who is holding you from being successful. Your fundraising is not working out to expectation because of this man. It's powerful. So Dr. Kaunda says, no. When I looked around Zambia, the only person that I realized that I can be cursed, it's you. So I was angry with you. I thank God because God revealed that to you. I said, how can I fight against Kenneth Kaunda Foundation? Is not the same God who revealed to me that don't go for Peace Foundation, but go for caring for the children that are orphaned because of HIV/AIDS. And you took it. So today, how can I pray against you? Pharaoh was one of the kings during Moses' time. Advisors around him, Egyptian magicians, sorcerers. You can get this from Exodus chapter 9 to chapter 7 to chapter 9. The magician initially initiated some signs of Moses and Aaron, reinforcing Pharaoh's resistance. They actually imitated when Moses threw the walking stick, it turns into a snake. They also did the same, and the Pharaoh became more stubborn because he thought he had the power through his false prophets. So now, if pastors, prophets, they claim to be praying for president, and when president are dying, it makes me cry for Mundubile, because the people's hope is going to be another disaster, because those prayers that is receiving, they are going nowhere. Where is Kasonde Mwenda? Kasonde Mwenda was prayed for by a certain woman. He's in prison now. I don't know whether he came out in detention whatsoever. I'm not sure whether he came out. If he came out, well, I did not see anything that shows that he came out, because the nomination period is closed. Why is Kasonde Mwenda closed? It's because Hakainde knows that what I speak, it comes to pass. And he knows that when he has intention to block everyone, people rush and pick Kasonde Mwenda. So it's better to close Kasonde Mwenda as they closed for Micaiah by King Ahab, to say, wait, I will let you out when I'm done with the battle. Only God can allow Hakainde Mingalato, because I prayed for Hakainde not to die 2026. Because false prophets like Hannah, they want to get the credit. Hey, Hakainde 2026 is not going to make it. He's going to die 2026 because the head that is sick. Me, I don't hear the sickness of a president for me to declare what God says. I declare the death of a president before he's a president, like I did to Eddie Kalungu, like I did to Sata. 2008, I told Sata, I saw you with a wound. State House, there's a grave for you. 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, September, you won the elections. And I said, congratulations, let's go for 90 days national prayer. Did you listen? I went to State House 3 times talking to who is this one? Amos Chanda. Ask Amos Chanda. Ask Amos Chanda. Amos Chanda is there. Ask him. I still have the letter that Amos Chanda wrote, his phone number for me to contact him. I still have it. The only thing is that when I'm coming on social media, I tend to think of other things that I never prepared to speak. I was going to show you to say, here's the letter I'm talking about, his handwriting. Who is this other one who insulted me? Just forgotten this one. Is still in the political system. Ask them. I'll tell you to say, I'm not speaking when I'm warning Gary Nkombo to say, Gary Nkombo, your leadership shows courage after a fight, after people come with guns and knives, you see them, they tear your shirt. He still proceeded to file in the nomination. That's a leader that we need. not leaders that can give us speeches, speech after speech, speech after speech, but rejecting the power of God, who cry when they die. I don't want to see president dying. 6 is too much. 7, it will be the worst of Hakainde Chilem. 8, it will be the worst of... Because I was shown, I'm talking about letters that I wrote already. In 2012, I wrote to say, I had to stop this cigarette that Sata gave to another president who developed illnesses. The same source on his body, which is Lungu. Lungu had the similar illnesses with Sata. So I had to stop Lungu to give it to another person. But it seems Hakainde Chilema still enjoys that cigarette. And developing sores on his body leads to a political death. We are not saying anyone can die, but there's clear political deaths. George Bush was president long before. He's still around, enjoying his pension. But all these presidents, when Manawasa and so forth, these new ones, they are all gone. And Hakainde will live. George Bush is still around. What is killing African leaders? If it's not rejection of God. God wants to set a system in Africa that utilizes the blessings of natural resources, that utilizes the true worship, the 10 Commandments, that shall give this a new church, a remnant church, that stands on the moon, clothed with the sun, and with 12 stars on their head. Even SDA, they don't understand this prophecy. They are simply a branch of Catholic. And when Elder Hakainde Chilema says, me, I cannot get the rituals for Lungu. I'm an elder. I don't believe in witchcraft. Why did he arrest those people who were bewitching